The night stretches relentlessly over the outskirts of the capital. As I walk along a forgotten cobblestone street, the silence is broken only by the distant hum of engines and the rustling of wind-dragged dead leaves. The city's lights seem far away here, replaced by a chilly, almost tangible gloom. With each step, I feel the weight of a destiny that relentlessly pursues me. Not only the burden of the void I carry, but also the accusatory gaze of those who rebel against change. Today, the air is charged with a tension that quickens my heartbeat, as if it knows that an inevitable confrontation is drawing near. I remember every word that led me here, the intrigues whispered through the palace corridors, Celine's cautions, and the warnings hidden in encrypted messages that Dorian intercepted. I reached the outskirts of the capital, where old warehouses and abandoned sheds had become refuges for the dissidents. Those who, clinging to immutable traditions and eager to revive ancestral privileges, plot to overthrow the new era I dare to usher in. A dirt road carried me to a crumbling brick building, its shattered windows and rusted doors telling tales of past revolts. As I approached, I sensed the place pulsing with a chaotic energy, as if the walls could reveal the secrets of a rebellion simmering within. With a firm grip on the hilt of my sword, one that discreetly radiates the essence of the void, I entered the structure. Inside, darkness was dense, broken only by beams of light escaping from old lamps and by shadows dancing in sync with my footsteps. Every sound, the creaking of the wooden floor, the echo of distant voices, amplified the feeling that I was being followed by both memories and unseen enemies. I paused briefly to regain my focus, letting the void seep into my soul, seeking clarity for what was to come. The sensation was ambiguous. The very power that strengthened me also warned me of the dangers hidden in the folds of the night. Before long, I noticed discreet movements in the shadows. Men and women, dressed in clothing that blended the simplicity of laborers with hints of ancient symbols, moved furtively among piles of crates and rubble. It was the appointed meeting. The dissidents had gathered to map out their plans. I recalled Dorian's words, warning me that the name Alistair Vorn would be mentioned with a tone of disdain and ambition. A surge of anticipation, mixed with a spine-chilling coldness that accompanies every thought of betrayal, surged through me. With keen eyes, I entered a side hall where an improvised table served as the center for the gathering. The faces were hard to read, expressions of fury, fear, but also an unyielding conviction, as if each one carried the flame of a historical revolt. An imposing man, his body marked with scars that told of past battles, rose to speak, and his hoarse voice echoed. "This is the moment to reclaim what was taken from us. Today, we will overthrow the bastard who dared defy the sacred order of our lineage." Every word struck the silence like a blow, reverberating in my mind with the force of a violent promise.
Quick tip to level up your experience. Read Manhwas and light novels for free. Listen to epic audiobooks. Watch unlimited anime. Play cloud games with no console. And stream the best anime soundtracks. Check the description now and grab your free trials.
The atmosphere grew charged with tension as the dissidents began to take their positions. In one corner, a young woman with burning eyes whispered to an ally, while others gathered in silence, watching my every move with wary eyes. The truth became undeniable. This meeting was not just a protest, it was a manifesto against everything I represented. Emerging from my hiding place, I advanced with the bearing of a warrior who had faced countless adversities. My voice, firm and resolute, broke through the rising murmur. "If today you seek justice, know that true justice is not founded on the revenge of the resentful but on building an empire where merit prevails." My words, spoken with the conviction of one forged in the trenches of the Rose, sparked an immediate reaction. One of the conspirators, his eyes blazing with fury, challenged, "You speak of merit, yet your blood is tainted by the heritage of disgrace. You are nothing more than a product of chaos, a bastard who knows nothing of order." I felt the void pulsate in response, the inner energy I had learned to command, and for an instant, time seemed to slow as our gazes locked. The atmosphere became electric, laden with tension that transcended mere words and materialized in every fiber of my being. Before long, the discussion erupted into physical confrontation. A group of dissidents, led by a burly man with scars tracing the path of his hatred, lunged at me with a ferocity intent on undermining my authority. Every strike they delivered was a desperate attempt to snuff out the light I carried, yet also a reminder that power is a double-edged sword, capable of both destruction and creation. I could feel my sword vibrating as it came to life, its blade imbued with the void, reflecting a somber aura that seemed to absorb the surrounding light. Every movement became a deadly dance, a fusion of battle-honed technique and the raw instinct born of despair. The clashing of steel echoed throughout the hall as I evaded strikes and countered with precise blows. At the climax of the combat, I found myself face to face with Kaelion, one of the dissident leaders. His gaze conveyed not only the conviction of a rebel, but also the bitterness of a past steeped in defeat. His movements were swift, yet I detected hesitation amid his fury, a conflict within that restrained him from fully surrendering to violence. "You cannot simply destroy everything with the power you wield, Kaelion," he shouted, as our strikes met in a confrontation that seemed to transcend mere physical combat. I responded with a cry blending fury and resignation, channeling the entire energy of the void into a decisive, stunning attack that made Kaelion's stance falter. In an instant that stretched into eternity, I felt the full impact of my decision, the shock of my blade resonating through every inch of the space. The combat reached its climax when, amid the fury and chaos, I realized that every strike and every movement was not merely a bid for survival, but a test of my very essence. The void, my silent ally all this while, now demanded to be understood and mastered. I saw the faces of the dissidents, some wounded, others a mixture of fear and disbelief, and I knew that this was the decisive moment. I rose, feeling each drop of sweat and every accelerated heartbeat as part of a war symphony. With the power of the void pulsing in my blade, I unleashed a final assault, a single, resolute movement that brought Kaelion crashing to the ground, defeated and defenseless. The sound of steel colliding with the void echoed through the hall, and for a brief moment, time itself seemed to stand still. Every gesture, every sigh, was laden with meaning. The victory was not solely mine, but belonged to an ideal that fought against the oppressive chains of tradition. The climax of this confrontation lay not only in brute strength, but in the courage to defy the paradigms that upheld an ancient empire. When the dust of combat finally settled, the hall was engulfed in a silence as heavy as the burden of power I carried. The dissidents, now scattered and demoralized, looked upon me with a mixture of fear and, for some, a fragile respect. I gathered the sealed scroll, the symbol of a conspiracy that still echoed in the shadows, and felt that although today's battle had been won, the war for the Empire's destiny was only beginning. Dorian approached, his expression grave, marked by the fatigue and wisdom born of many struggles. "You have proven today that merit is a powerful weapon, but the shadows of rebellion stretch far beyond this confrontation," he murmured, his words reminding me that every victory comes with its price. I felt the void, not as a destructive force, but as a constant reminder that power must be guided by wisdom, not by a thirst for vengeance. The atmosphere around me, filled with the whispers of dispersing dissidents and the echo of exchanged blows, became an invitation to reflection, a moment when I realized that the true challenge lay in transforming chaos into order without losing the essence that defines who I am. Back in my quarters, I found a rare moment of solitude. I sat before a narrow window that opened onto a silent corridor, where the echoes of recent events still lingered. The lights of the capital, distant and uncertain, twinkled like promises of a future that oscillates between hope and fear. I closed my eyes and allowed the void to flow through me, not as a force that destroys, but as a companion reminding me of the lessons learned in every battle, whether fought on the field or within the soul. I thought of Celine's words, Dorian's warnings, and Kaelion's defiant gaze. Each scar, both physical and emotional, is a mark that propels me to continue fighting for an empire where merit is the only law. Tonight's confrontation is not the end, but a new beginning, a prelude to greater challenges hidden within the intrigues of the capital and the shadows of the past. As the silence of the early hours yielded to the first rays of dawn, I felt that although destiny remains uncertain, the determination of a man forged in the void is capable of transforming darkness into light. With a heavy heart, yet the conviction that every step toward the future is a stride against the darkness of tradition, I rose. The capital, with its secrets and intrigues, is merely another battlefield I shall face with the courage of an anti-hero who refuses to bow down. With the power of the void pulsating in my veins and the certainty that each sacrifice paves the way for redemption, I pressed on, prepared to confront whatever fate has in store, aware that as long as I keep control over my own being, not even the forces of rebellion can extinguish the flame of merit. And so, with dawn breaking on the horizon, I left my quarters, each step echoing the promise that even in the deepest shadows, the light of true power will never be extinguished.
Did you enjoy the video?
Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us know which stories you love most and which ones we should prioritize in future productions. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing you the best manhwa content every day. See you in the next episode.